All rise, I'm Desmond Kirk, and today I'll be reviewing She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. How I feel about this show can pretty much be summed up in Exhibit A, the testimony of Jennifer Walters.
Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger.
Yes.
I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street,
Yes.
when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional.
I hear you.
Or difficult.
Yes.
Or might just literally get murdered.
Yes.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. So all of this just feels like projecting a lot of onto me.
Court is in session. First, a little history on She-Hulk. She's notable for being the last character created by Stan Lee for Marvel before his return in 1992. She was created in 1980 due to the success of the Incredible Hulk TV show. Back then, successful shows would quickly have a spin-off or two greenlit to capitalize on the popularity. Since the Bionic Woman was created due to the success of the $6 Million Man, Marvel feared the network would create a female Hulk, with the publisher having no rights to the character. And thus was born the Savage She-Hulk. Unlike many female spin-offs, however, she wasn't just a pale imitation of her more famous male counterpart. I'm working on a video about you, Supergirl, don't worry. What keeps Jen Walters out of her cousin's shadow is not only the fact that she retains her intelligence and emotional state when transforming into She-Hulk, but also the emphasis on her career as a lawyer, often cleverly used in a role as a superhero. In the comics, it's not only a testament to her skills, dedication, and determination, but also adds a unique angle to the dealings of superheroes that we usually don't get to see. Does the show live up to the comics' legacy? The answer lies in one speech from the first episode. The good. As is usually the case with the MCU, the casting is perfect and results in some solid performances. Tatiana Maslany brings her A-game as both Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk. She handles the more candid aspects of the show with a convincing sense of humor. Her sincerity shows in moments of vulnerability, and she can be assertive when necessary. Pulling off those fourth wall breaks is also not as easy as it looks. Timing and expression are key, and I have to say from the first to the last one, Maslany absolutely nails it. Jen is very well written. Her hubris in the first episode, especially towards Bruce, might incite ire from some viewers, but this is also one of the reasons why I opted for a series review rather than an episode-by-episode approach. There's a ton of guest stars, both old and new, and they all help bring in some fun to the show. But at the same time, they don't detract from the fact that this is Jennifer Walters' show. Everyone else is just along for the ride. Mark Ruffalo brings a certain calm to the Hulk, emphasizing his well-earned control. Even in instances of agitation, he doesn't revert to his savage former alter ego. Tim Ross definitely having fun in this role. Seeing him as a relaxed pseudo-shaman skating between counselor and conman is a delight, and it brings some unique comic relief to the show. This is only bolstered by the fact that he's gained a degree of control over his abomination form, indicating that there's a certain sincerity to his newfound path. Charlie Cox is of course a worthy addition as Daredevil, but make no mistake, he's not just retreading old territory. This Daredevil is less restrained, not as much of a brooder. Cox has found the perfect tone to maintain the intimidation of the Daredevil we know, while bringing a bit more lightness to him, fitting in perfectly in the MCU right away. I wonder if he's had dealings with Fisk yet. Yeah, I said yet. Remember, we never saw a body. Fourth wall breaks. One of the most unique things about the series is the main character Jennifer Walters breaking the fourth wall.
Connecting the A and B story? Nice.
This is a storytelling element where what is called the fourth wall, an invisible wall which separates us, the audience, from the performance or characters we're watching, is broken and the character engages with the audience, making it clear they are aware of their presence. Some characters are even aware that they reside in a piece of fiction. This is a trope that's been around implicitly for decades, with characters doing simple things like winking at the audience. People who aren't familiar with the comic books might think She-Hulk is simply ripping off Deadpool, another character famous for breaking the fourth wall, and who has appeared in his own two films in 2016 and 2018 respectively. In the golden and silver age of comics, you'd sometimes have a character introduce the reader to the story, or provide a plot summary before the story takes off. She-Hulk, however, was the first comic book character to do so explicitly on a regular basis, when the sensational She-Hulk was written by John Byrne in what is considered her most famous run. The breaks might seem a bit jarring and out of place at first, but it's all a build up to the biggest and most brilliant fourth wall break, which takes place in the season's final episode, an episode that I consider peak MCU, and is once again proof that Phase 4 isn't the disappointment some make it out to be, and that the MCU is in no way running out of steam. If anything, this episode says, we're just getting started. Some subplots like the court cases might seem like filler, but keep in mind, this is a fun lore show with a superhero angle. As Kevin Feige himself once said, Marvel isn't just making films in the superhero genre, but also genre films with the superhero element added in, like Ant-Man actually being a heist film, and Captain America the Winter Soldier being a political thriller. We've seen some pretty good final episodes from Marvel's smaller screen efforts so far, but in my opinion, She-Hulk features the best one by far. It's incredibly clever, rewarding, and rounds out the entire show in a most epic and exciting manner. To anyone still doubting Marvel's ability to produce quality TV, this episode says, I rest my case. Social commentary. The show isn't shy about engaging in social commentary, particularly when it comes to issues women face. A lot of folks online have accused She-Hulk, attorney at law, of being sexist towards men. There's this thing called the MCU, a closely held belief that the women's are trying to muscle in on the territory and seek to belittle male characters wherever possible. The fact that Luke can make a well-meaning joke about Jen not bloating and get away with said joke is a sign that the series in no way seeks to give women special treatment. The script could have been petty and vitriolic when it comes to the trolls of intelligentsia and the real-life toxic communities said organization is based on. Some of the questions, like, is She-Hulk stronger than Hulk, can be innocent in nature. Comic book fans ask these questions all the time and there's nothing wrong with that. Can Captain Marvel, now known as Shazam, beat Superman? Why exactly isn't he called Captain Marvel anymore? Who's faster, Superman or Flash? The answer to that one you'll find in this video. Segue! These questions can sometimes be wrapped in a pretentiously well-meaning blanket to avoid looking exactly like what the person is behaving as, a bigot. And I think especially we as comic book fans have to be honest. These toxic so-called fans, they're out there. There are entire communities dedicated to throwing straw man arguments as something that simply because they don't like it. You don't have to like She-Hulk, you can even criticize it as I stated before, but you have to present valid arguments and not just, I don't like it cause women's. She-Hulk and many female-led superhero projects have been met with excessive backlash online. Yes, my use of the word excessive is justified. You should absolutely be allowed to criticize a project for its less impressive elements, regardless of the main character's sex or ethnicity. But when a show starts getting poor reviews before the first episode has even been released, it's evident there's prejudice involved. Some might say that She-Hulk is bashing men by having a woman dictate the terms of Marvel's new narrative to being pretty much in charge of it all. To which I say, it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman, and everything with her breaking the fourth wall. Who better to offer constructive criticism than someone who knows exactly what the formula for these productions is? There are so many subtle instances of the show making it clear. The problem is some people, not all people. Notice how I said people, not men. Titania and her beauty line are a criticism of what society expects women to be and look like, and Jen proves this in one episode where she claims that two products, while labeled differently, are exactly the same. Jen's best friend Nikki, however, is quick to correct her that they are in fact two completely different products. This scene hits the mark about feminism. It's all about choice. Just because there are certain things that are considered stereotypically female, doesn't mean women aren't allowed to engage in or even enjoy any of them. They have the choice to do whatever they want. The point is further made in episode 3 when Jennifer and Nikki share a drink at a bar and are joined by Pug, a lawyer at Jennifer's new law firm. He is immediately welcomed to their table, indicating they all get along quite well. Again, the show isn't saying all men are bad, just some men. The way Jennifer is referred to in the media is also a subtle jab at media bias. She's often referred to as the Hulk's cousin, as if she's only relevant in relation to someone else. Another complaint online was that the series doesn't engage in show, don't tell, rather relying on exposition. Another reason why I chose to do a series review, everything women have to deal with that Jen mentioned in her speech to Bruce in the first episode is actually shown across the entire span of the series. Allow me to illustrate. 1. Catcalled in the street. 2. incompetent men explaining my area of expertise. 3. I control my anger pretty much every day because if I don't, I would get called emotional or difficult. 4. Or might just literally get murdered. If we're quick to judge, it would be easy to say that Jen's speech invalidates Bruce's own experiences. And the last 2 lines actually do so in a way. But 2 things are important to remember, namely, Jen doesn't do it on purpose, and 2, the last line about projecting, she actually has a point. Just because she has Hulk abilities does not mean she has to dedicate her life to being a superhero. One of Bruce's points is proven when Jen says she can control her anger, but did not do so when a few men outside of the bar approached her. The fact that at the end of the series she chooses to become a superhero because there's some truth to Bruce's words, truth she experiences, comes down to the core of feminism yet again, choice. There are some bad things about the show. My biggest complaint about the series is that it treats some serious issues that predominantly women have to deal with as somewhat cavalier. Jen is attacked by the wrecking crew but doesn't file a police report. She's also been the victim of a disgusting attack by not only being deceived by Josh, but having a video of their night together played in full view of her peers. This is a very serious issue, but it's not touched upon enough. It would have been cathartic if in the final confrontation against Phelps, Jennifer was allowed to let him know how much the ordeal hurt her. It also would have squashed the hysterical woman trope since she would be more than justified in berating him for his actions. As previously mentioned, Daredevil is present in the show and also engages in fights. The Netflix Daredevil show is famous for the extended hallway fight scene, which set the bar quite high. The MCU is somewhat notorious for cutting fight scenes to pieces, and that goes for Daredevil's fight scenes in the show as well. They're not bad per se, but the fact that we've seen better make these look tame in comparison. Skaar's design is definitely not to my liking. He at least shares some facial features with his father. It's probably not going to matter to people who don't read the comics, and I truly believe that knowing Marvel, is going to be fleshed out quite well later on. But dude better grow some hair. The rest are minor complaints. The CGI for She-Hulk doesn't look as convincing as Bruce, probably because the production team uses more detailed models from Endgame. But we have to keep in mind, this is a TV show and it wouldn't be practical to spend a feature film's budget on special effects. This is also cleverly alluded to in the final episode, so it is in no way a deal breaker. Now I'll make my closing argument. She-Hulk Attorney at Law is a fantastic show that hits home the Marvel formula. You'll enjoy the bits, but it's the whole package that will thrill you. Much like WandaVision, viewers might get the wrong impression from the first episode, but have faith in the folks at Marvel. The payoff is always there. And it is so that I decree She-Hulk be awarded 4 out of 5 Thunderbolts. In my final judgment, if I had to use one word to describe the show, it would be sensational.